To the newspapers, let's turn to Florence Villeminot, who's going to bring us the front pages from around the world. Our top story here on France 24 is making the headlines across many of the papers. That's the suspect who shot 4 Marines. Tell us more.
That's right. That's a huge story, as you can imagine, in the U.S. Press. Let's take a look, first of all, at the Washington Post that reports that authorities are investigating whether there are any terrorism links here. So the FBI has identified the shooter as Mohammed Youssef Abdulaziz, 24 years old, from nearby Chattanooga, a town called Hickson, Tennessee. Now, he himself has no real criminal history. He recently he was arrested for driving under the influence, but there are reports that his father had been investigated a couple of years ago for giving money to an organization with possible ties to terrorism, but none of this has been confirmed whether or not he had a link to terrorist groups.
Local press, though, in Chattanooga, they've been digging into his past nonetheless, though.
That's right. Let's head to the Chattanooga Times Free Press. They bring us up to date with all the latest details. So he was reportedly born in Kuwait, later naturalized a U.S. citizen, raised in a religious family, but a family that had very good relations with their neighbors. Lots of papers are picking up on his senior yearbook quote, however. My name causes national security threats, alerts. What does yours? So lots of papers are picking up on these little details, but as I said, lots of his friends and neighbors say that they're shocked because he was not seen as being a violent person at all. Well,
the Daily Beast is reporting there's signs he wanted to wage jihad. Is that
That's right. This is an interesting report in the Daily Beast that points out that 3 days before his killing spree, he sent clear signs, at least that's what the Daily Beast interprets them as. Now, this was in a series of blog posts. He often wrote about religion on his blog. Now, there was one recent post where he talked about Dunya, the prison of Dunya. Dunya is a term used by the Islamic State group to describe the realm outside the caliphate. So the fact that he talked about this, according to the Daily Beast, is a clear sign that he wanted to wage jihad. All the signs were there if only someone had seen him. That's the Daily Beast.
Well, that's their analysis. Let's move on to another one of our top stories, of course, the downing of Malaysian Airlines Flight 17. It's the 1-year anniversary, but questions still remaining.
That's right. Now, it's very interesting to see the various papers, whether they're Ukrainian or Russian, how they're dealing with this. Let's start with the Kiev Post. That's in the Ukrainian paper that says that 1 year on, there's no doubt about it, Russia is the obvious culprit here. There is a pool of clear and convincing evidence, according to the Kiev Post. It says it's obvious that the plane was shot down by a Russian surface-to-air missile from a territory controlled by these Russian separatists. And indeed, if we look at the Australian press, News Corp Australia has released a very disturbing video that we've been talking about this morning. We can see these separatists arriving on the scene, and reportedly you can hear them expressing dismay at the fact that it's a civilian plane. The Daily Telegraph, this is an Australian paper, says that it seems like they thought that they had shot down a Ukrainian fighter jet.
Okay, but it's a different story, of course, in the Russian press.
That's right. If we look at the Moscow Times, they give you exactly what the Kremlin says about all this. Essentially, that the plane was brought down by a non-Russian air-to-air missile shot by a Ukrainian fighter jet. They say that they have a key eyewitness, a former mechanic for the Ukrainian Air Force, who backs this claim up. And you can also see the Russian position here. Russia is opposed to a UN tribunal to take a closer look into the crash.
Let's move stateside again. Papers reacting to President Obama's visit to El Reno, that medium security prison in Oklahoma.
That's right, that incredible visit. It's the very first time that an American president has ever set foot in a federal prison. You can see the editorial of the New York Times here applauding President Obama for taking on the prison crisis. Lots of other papers are focusing on this crisis as well. The Washington Post today also takes a look at the statistics, calls the statistics eye-popping. We've been hearing about this a lot. The United States has 5% of the world's population, but 25% of its prison population, and a large, this really has a lot to do with drug crime sentences, which for low offenders, they're often have very high sentences. The Washington Post here says the U.S. locks up way too many people, but that could change. And the editorial says that if the U.S. lawmakers decide to change the way low drug offenders are sentenced, that could really change the prison population.
Let's move on to another prison situation and across the border. The Mexican authorities still in the spotlight, of course, after the escape of the drug kingpin El Chapo Guzman.
El Chapo, exactly. The Guardian has a good pun today. It says this is a jailbreak that raises a whole lot of questions. El Chapo's incredible escape has really turned the spotlight on corruption in Mexican prisons. I mean, the details of his escape are pretty incredible. He escaped through this ventilated tunnel using a modified motorbike. It sounds like he got a little bit of help, perhaps. Yeah. As you can imagine, Mexican papers are all over this as well. It's such a crazy escape that it could be fiction. I pulled out this article from Excelsior, which has a funny twist on it. It sounds a lot like a very popular novel that recently came out in May. It's a Don Winslow novel called The Cartel. And what's interesting is this is about a Mexican drug lord who escapes from jail. And Excelsior reports that since El Chapo's escape, sales for this book have gone through the roof. So pretty good timing for this book, for that escape again.
Extra publicity there. Thanks very much, Flo Vilmano with the press. Kate Moody, our business editor, for bringing us up to date there. I'm Hala Mohideen. You're watching France 24. Do stay with us.